very fittingly as Tammy is cleaning up our mess. It really gives a great object lesson of, as I reflect on what my ministry has been here at Fort Collins. Not a mess, but it's been messy in the sense that people are messy. And you all, very much like Tammy, have helped clean us up. You've helped us grow. And let's start with prayer. Lord, guide now. Thank you for family. Amen. Many have heard my story of coming into ministry. My dad's a pastor. We came from Kenya to study in America. And I didn't want to be a pastor because, like Danielson, I saw the challenge of pastoral life. People are messy, and I just wasn't interested. And the pay wasn't great. I mean, my dad has his doctorate, and he's working at Target. No, thanks. But, God has a funny way of having his way, and just tugged at my heart. And, after my pastor made it clear that running away from God ends up like Jonah, I realized I didn't want to be in the belly of a whale of any kind of sort. So I said, okay, God, I'm going to go. 3 conditions. 1, get me a wife. I know the deal. 2, you got to get me a car. And 3, no financial problems. I'd had a lot of financial issues getting registered for classes. And just like that, God just gives me this sense of, yep, I'll take care of that. And immediately I'm like, I should have asked for more. Who am I dealing with here? And so just like that, the path was basically laid out for me. I went up to Andrews and met Liddy. Dad got me a car for his own purposes. It's a funny story. I said, Dad, he asked me if I want a car. I said, Dad, I don't need a car. I lived at Andrews. I know what it looks like. I don't need a car. He says, okay, fine. A week before I go, he says, here's a car. I said, Dad, I don't need a car. He says, oh, no. But I need you to come and bring me speakers from Andrews. So here's the car. Go figure. And then it didn't have any challenges getting money for school, but now they want it back, so what's with that? But that was a blessing there to be able to do that. And so as we started at Longmont as doing youth ministry, I kind of share my story. I felt like a young child in ministry, because it's one thing to know living in a house doing ministry. It's another thing to be involved in ministry. And at Longmont, I was almost like a child there, just trying to figure out what it looked like and ministry, et cetera. We got the call here to come to Fort Collins, and really that's where I would say we grew up from children to young adults and to adults, really, in this process of growth. And along that piece, as I kind of reflect now, sharing a bit of how exactly we have grown and what we have seen Jesus look like at the Fort Collins Church. I'm going to spend my time here just kind of going through some of our church family, and I won't get everyone, just kind of sharing how I've seen Jesus in you all, how we have seen the Lord work through you and blessed our life. And just in no random particular order, Dawn Henderson, she taught me a lot about being educated, knowing why you believe what you believe. Thank you, Dawn. Sam and Ruth, Sam has this great personality about him, and he's showed his boldness and faith. Learned from Julie Hawker, just her smile, just her electric smile, and how she drew people to her. From Greg Hurley, I learned faithfulness, just showing up and getting the work done. Thank you. Tony and Mitch, a funny story. I went to their house, and he talked about one day them having a tree doctor, and I said, "Tree doctor? What is this?" Like in Kenya, if trees go bad, I think they just die. Here, you have doctors for trees? That was really interesting, but they showed their kindness to us. Jerry Knapp, your faithfulness, you're always serving, always giving, always looking for an opportunity to help. Thank you. Tammy, I've learned from you serenity, how to know, surrender, and to have peace. Bob, you've grown through a lot of different challenges, and you never give up, and that's been so encouraging. From Bill and Nancy, just their faithfulness. They've been so faithful through the ups and the downs of their life. Pam and CT, from her story of Pam going out and helping and serving the homeless, and she just wasn't afraid of anything. And she had a firearm to back it up, too. Lupita, your spiritual growth has been amazing to see. Catalina, Ribota, your faithfulness to your children, working so hard for them. Travis Masters, I've learned from you faithfulness. I'd always show up to get the job done, no matter how hard or difficult it is. Kevin Matson, your willingness to keep helping. Keep on singing, brother. Ashley Miller, your smile in ministry. You just smile and keep going. That's kind of your MO, and I've appreciated that. Laxon and Michello, the courage to come and be in a foreign land and study and just go through whatever you're going through. Thank you for that. From Michael, Nyarko, and Haley, I've learned from you all. Just perseverance. He's lived that so far from the church, but he always shows up. Always ends up coming and being a part of. Thank you, Michael. For Sam Peterson, that servant heart of yours, you're always going the extra mile to help our church and our school, and always behind the shadows, never wants any praise. David Raroja, thank you for, my wife shared a story about how when she was pregnant one day and you brought over some mangoes, and that just meant so much to her. So thank you for your mango ministry. Catalina Popov, you're studying. You've always had a heart for helping people. And even when you went to Moldova, it really touched my heart that she was still tuning into the Fort Collins Church, because that's what she considered her family. That's been awesome. I'm thankful for Linda Lancaster and your faithfulness helping and showing up at the school, always here to help. Even when through your injury, as soon as you could, you were here to help. From Siggy, your youth leadership, we struggled mightily in that area, and you've stepped up. You said, I'll answer the call. I'll take it on. It might not be comfortable, but I'll do it. Judy and Rich Goldsberry, thank you for your friendship, even as we pastored in Eden Valley as well. Peggy, your willingness to fight for your family. For Carrie Brown, being faithful when it hurts. We know how much you miss, well, we don't know experientially, most of us, but we can imagine how much you miss Brownie. And you've just always been so lifting us up in prayer. That's meant a lot to us. Robert Weekly, he's been so faithful, so kind to us. To Bobby and Alexis Dixon, thank you for your example of courage and doing the right thing. To Lyle and Luella, as you have aged, you've aged gracefully. We've had the privilege of visiting you, and I love you guys a lot. Melissa, your heart for service and helping others. Heather Pavey has always reminded me about how gifted we are to be free. In our prayer time, she'd always be praying for free America, the Scottish and the Irish, and all those individuals who were free. And, at first I was like, what? But, everyone teaches us something about Jesus. So thank you for teaching me to value freedom. Jean and Sonia, your willingness, after learning the truths of the Bible, to leave the church that you had been for years and years and years, and like Abraham, say, I will go where Jesus leads. That's been amazing. The Sellers, all of you, from Thorben to Steer Wife to Jody, all of you guys have, specifically you, Thorben, shown me generosity and kindness and helping us through a challenging time in our church and serving faithfully. To your wife, I'd hear how early she would wake up to go to work and to take care and provide for the family. Jody, your example of being so steadfast and consistent in our church, always stepping up to the task and never complaining, although there was much to complain about, and I let you know what I was complaining about, but you just smiled and said, let's figure it out. Thank you. To the Trolls for always being willing to help out, just a giving heart. Jessica Reeder, how much you love our kids here. To Jerry and Perkins, you love life. You're always taking trips, Jerry, and I'm inspired to travel the world like you do. To the Rodriguez family, you've been so faithful, so consistent, always helping. Dora, I remember you praying so hard for Brian and Natalie to get through school and continue to make it. And by God's grace, Brian, I'm so proud of you for graduating. And Natalie, to see your spiritual maturity, just growing up in Jesus and finding your voice. You were so timid and so shy. And you've grown up to this young woman who understands who you are, and you're figuring out things. And that's just been awesome to see. To Dwight and Nancy Gillum, you guys have loved on us and just cooked for us and just been there for us. Josh, to see your growth spiritually, learning of who Jesus is, that's been really powerful. We're thankful for Barbara Goebel. You understand what it means to lose someone you love like Carrie. And you've shown us what it means to be a friend. You've been so consistent, always calling us and seeing how we're doing. And that's meant a lot to us. Thank you for that. To the Greens, Lindsay and Myrna. Lindsay, you've showed me the value of thinking and using wisdom and knowledge. Myrna, you have such a servant's heart. You both just taught me how to just navigate and sift through information to find what's true and follow it. Carolina and Matthias. Carolina has got to be one of the most positive, encouraging people I've ever met. 3 minutes around her, and she's just saying nice, kind things, so positive. Even when I'm irritable, she's like, "It's okay, Pastor." And I'm like, "It's not okay." She's like, "God's gonna help us." Matthias, how serious you take Bible study. It's been inspiring. You've challenged me as a pastor. In seminary they said, you've got to be careful. Henry Wright said, there are people who can out-preach you at your church, members who can out-pray you. And I'm thinking, oh, he's right. And thank you, Matthias, for how seriously you took God's word, how you would just break down with the many languages that you know and learn God's word. Kevin, you offended me by your consistency and your steadfastness and your faithfulness to a biblical diet. That always irritated me so much. But you would never rub it in my face. You would just politely decline. "Hey, let's go out and see a movie." "No, thanks." "Oh, come on, Kevin." Said, "Nah." Always so congenial. But I learned from that. And you've been a mentor to me in that way. So thank you for shining in that way. Jessica Rios, a powerhouse of Jessica. I came very opinionated, but not very full of knowledge. One would think, well, you went to the seminary, shouldn't you know things? You get in what you get out what you put in, rather. And at seminary, it was necessary for me to learn what righteousness by faith was. But the rest of it, yeah, I got the books. Jessica helped me and challenged me with so many of our Adventist beliefs. And while I'm full of passion, and I may be wrong, but I'm never in doubt. But Jessica said, "Daniel, let's look at the Bible and figure out what the Bible has to say about this." And I've appreciated you, Jessica, how you've shown me from Scripture what things are and what are not, and have challenged me. And even when we don't agree, we can all agree that we got to go to the Word and stay there. So thank you for showing me that. To Rebecca Alvidrez, I know you're in Nacogdoches, hold it down. Thanks for showing us how to be physically active, and for being my coach, and for being so encouraging. Even when I'm like, "I can't do it," she'd say, "It's okay, one more time, just keep trying." That's been a blessing. Roboval and Delva, you're always willing to lend a hand. You're just so kind. I love Brazilians, the music, the culture, the language. Thank you. To the Breeze, oh, what can I say to Mr. and Mrs. Breeze? You guys have been a bedrock of consistency, and Keiko is like an Asian tiger. She just never gives up. She just keeps going. She doesn't know how to stop. And I've just often been like, doesn't she ever quit? And she doesn't. And it's really taught me what it looks like to be passionate and committed to something. And amidst everything, to give your all for something. I'll never forget that. To Jeff and Pam and Morgaine, oh, Jeff, you've taught me what it looks like to you and Pam to parent, to hand over the baton, but then just go back for a victory lap when needed. And just to watch Morgaine grow up and into a young woman, it's awesome. Dwight, from Dwight, I just learned to stop taking life so seriously. We'll figure it out. And amidst the ups and the downs, he's been here, always ready to lend a hand. Serena, many conversations, and just how she cares so much. And that's amazing. To Barbara and Larry, thank you for your consistency, the beautiful music that you made. Larry, you showed us that love doesn't just look like talking, it looks about showing up and helping. And you've helped us here at our church school. To Matthew, I'll always remember you as a one-string violin person. Because when you have a goal, it is what you focus on. And you are consistent through the ups and the downs. And I've needed that. Marcelino and the Zuniga family, the importance of family. You guys are so tight and so together. Joyce and Mia, I'm sorry, and you know why. Chella, you have a heart of gold. And Tita, you have the heart of a champion. This past Friday, I was driving up just to work on my sermon, and I broke down for about an hour. I was a mess. I'll invite Lydia up here as you come up, love, to say thank you as well from your perspective. Devon and Jade, I cannot appreciate how much you showed us what it meant to be professionals. Devon, you show up and you just work. You put your head down and you work. And that has been, I needed to know what it looked like to get things done. And he's been such a good mentor to me. And he's not much for words, but he is a lot for action. The Lindsays, you guys have taken us under your wings and shown us just what it looks like to be committed, even though it's not easy and even though it doesn't make sense. You stay committed. Ron, you've taken me under your wings to never put a limitation on who you are just because of your age. Your willingness to be faithful to what you know to be true has meant so much. Your daughters are blessed to have you, and we are blessed to know you. To Ramona, for your kind words. Ramona, I think if there's anyone else who keeps it more real than I do, it's Ramona Olala. I remember that one day we were talking about going up in her house in the mountains, and we somehow ended up talking about food, and I was talking about some cookies that we were trying to make that were vegan, and she was like, "Vegan cookies? Tuh, that's ridiculous. You need to have chocolate chips in your cookies." And Ramona, in all that, you would send us always cards. If you look in the mail, there'd be a card by Ramona. And when you lost Ralph, you were so heartbroken, and yet you stayed, and you didn't just leave. Thanks, Mom. To the Cruzes, to Addie, seeing your spiritual growth. You showed us what it looks like to let Jesus in your heart. And you grew, and you made choices to change the people that you were hanging around because you saw how important it was to follow Jesus. That means a lot to us. To Ray, to Grant, to Christine, watch you guys start up and continue the group at CSU, and over the years, the memories. It irritated me how much you guys like the mountains. I'm like, get off the mountains already. But you always wanted to go out to experience nature, and you've infected Milka with your love of nature. And we thank you for that. Ketsia, you're the reason. It's your fault we're here in the first place. Your vision to go and to connect and to never give up. I remember you in Longmont when you were just looking and wanting to figure out how you could practice law and navigating that piece and not being afraid to go out for your dreams and actually being afraid, but still going out anyways, and how God has blessed you. I remember how you would drive to Denver and back when you were living with Liddy, and you'd sleep on the side of the road. You never stopped fighting. And that has been so inspirational. To Milka, you are the heart of the Theodore family. You have the heart of a servant. You're always giving even when it doesn't make sense. And even when you shouldn't, your default is to help people. And God is blessing you because of that. To Mommy and Papi, we could not do this without you. You have come. Papi, you're a man of few words. In your own words, you say, I prefer to observe. But boy, you can pray. Oh my goodness. You're always on a prayer call. And that has been a source of inspiration. Mom, you've shaped us with your heart of a servant. You're always giving and giving. And even when you shouldn't, you keep giving. Thank you for that. Carl, you scared me because you're a big dreamer, and I didn't know how to relate to people who had such big dreams. But you've taught me how to embrace those and to never allow money to be the reason you don't think about possibilities. Your heart for service, you have the heart of a pastor. You're always intentional, seeking relationships and making sure that no one gets left behind. You reach and spend your time talking and ministering to those who others simply don't. And God is going to bless you in such a way for that. Thank you for challenging me. You probably have been the single most cause of my growth here, just with the friction that we've had and my ignorance and foolishness, and you've patiently just watched me grow up, and I'm indebted to you, brother. To June, oh my goodness, the heart of a mother. June does not make excuses, and if anybody could, it could be her. But she chooses to take what happens in life and to keep going, and to not get stuck about the hang-ups in life. But she chooses to serve and to be faithful. And during COVID, you have stepped up in a way that has been so instrumental to our church. Thank you, June, for being God's hands and feet. Anytime there's a disaster, June is leaving to help. And I'm like, June, you've got a lot of stuff here that you could be doing. Well, she says, well, hey, listen, there's a need and there's a call. And so I'm going. Karen and John, we've made lots of music together. Thank you, John, for your steadfastness and consistency in whatever you put your hands to do. Thank you, Karen, for how much you love music. And you and Joe have taught me what it looks like to be a professional musician, not an amateur. And you've shown that by your consistency, your work ethic. And I've enjoyed building that relationship. And tell your granddaughter I say hi. She's so full of joy. We're thankful to Jorge and Joyce and Jacelyn. Joyce, you taught us to never give up on your goals, to never stop fighting for what you want. And I'm so proud of you and your health transformation. Well, Jorge, to see you transformed by grace has been awesome. To see you grow as a man, as a father, as a leader. And to Jacelyn, to see your heart for children. And as you go about making choices in life, knowing how to redirect has been great. To the Paynes, you've been great mentors of ours. You showed me how to be a pastor, how to be a visionary. Audrey, you've showed me how to be present and how to love people. It's a year and a half almost, and I still don't really know my neighbors. But here you go, Audrey. It's really irritating. Like month 2, and she's already giving bread to people and meeting people in their homes. I'm like, what's with you? She knows what the gospel is, and she knows how to meet a need and to make a friend. Thank you for that. Anderson, I will never forget. I came to this church just to preach. Ketsia invited or say they were looking for a pastor. I wasn't looking for a job. I already went through that. And God said, sit down and shut up and learn how to be where I planted you. He didn't say it that way, but that's how I interpret it. And as I came just to be at Fort Collins, just to take a break, and I met this short Brazilian man who in the back room right before we came out says, God's going to give us a new school. He's going to sell this school, and he's going to sell this church, and he's going to build us a new building. And I'm like, buddy, good for you. I'm just here to preach. Little did I know that here we are. And as you've taught me what it means to have faith and how amidst our shortcomings you can still achieve for God. Never be afraid. Isabel, you've been a source of generosity that doesn't even make sense. You've taken in our children as your own. I remember asking your kids why they still go to church. And they said, because of the love of my mother. She has been there for us and shown us through all our choices unfailing love. And that's why we're here today. And my prayer is that we too would be those kinds of parents. Michael, you also have a servant's heart. When so many young adults are choosing to leave, you've chosen to be here. You've chosen to grow in your role, in your relationship with God. You've helped our family so much with your truck, hauling things all over the place. Thanks for just showing me just not to take life so seriously. That's been awesome. To McConaughey's, Jenny, you've
you have taken an immature young man and shown through your prayers, your love, your example, how to just stay in the fight. Joe, you've put up with me being late and unprepared. And you've been so gentle and kind. Almost there. Amy and Eric, you've been a source of refreshing to us. When others maybe weren't ready to hear what we had to say, you've always been there to listen. Eric, you've been so steady. And for a sanguine like me who's as inconsistent as Colorado weather, you've shown me what it means to just show up. To just do what the right thing is because it's the right thing to do. Amy, I was so irritated at you because you kept asking me to stop being a people pleaser. And it's a hard thing for a sanguine to do. And I remember how you told me that you would be praying Galatians 1:10, which says, "For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Am I trying to please man? If I were trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ." And you just said, almost every time we spoke, "Daniel, I'm praying that you stop trying to please man and please God." Well, your prayers worked, Amy. So thank you for being safe enough for us to just be able to call you up, and as I'm on the road, just say, "Amy, I'm hungry. Do you have food?" And you would have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and some apples to help me get to my next meeting. Thank you for being there for Liddy and for helping her as we deal with a lot of the challenges of this world, for being a safe place, for not always having to open your mouth and give an opinion, just for learning how to be quiet and to listen. That has meant so much to us. Now the Egans, oh man, your love, your encouragement, lifting us up through prayer, putting yourselves in our lives to blessing us, and when needed, being able to take me aside and just rebuke me. And I needed that, and I thank you for it. I'm a better man. Mother Egan, you certainly have many children across the world because you pour and invest and give into people's lives. We will be forever changed because of you. Donnie and Lana, you showed us, and you've chosen joy when it didn't make sense. You have decided and committed your life and your health to Jesus. And I really loved the gospel that preaches that if we just love Jesus, then we won't face trials, but that's not the gospel. You've shown us that the gospel says that whatever trials we face, Jesus is in charge. And we hold on to him when things don't make sense, when the numbers don't come in right. We hold on to him and we choose joy. It's not a emotion, it's not a feeling, it's a decision, and you've continued to decide to choose joy and strength. Donnie, for your gentleness and how focused on the family you were. I come from a background where we just work till we die because we somehow think there's valor in that. But you've shown me how to not go 110%, just to slow down because there are more things that are more important than work, like family. Thank you for your girls who I've seen grow up, Tegan and Eden, to just young ladies who love Jesus and are committed to their music. And I remember the dance recitals that we would be invited to, and how we'd say maybe one day when we have kids, we'd put them in dance, and we have 2 girls. They'll be in dance. We're thankful for the Molinas. Oh, man. To Sarah, Molina, my buddy. I remember the story when we went to a track and field day, and you had made the commitment to run around, I think it was like a half mile or a mile. And Lydia was saying how exhausted you were, but you just had this stubbornness. You would not give up. And you finished the whole race, although you almost looked like you were going to pass out. But you've taught me what perseverance is and the drive to win in life, no matter what. To Bruno and Felipe, we didn't get a chance to hang around you as much, but Felipe, you came to CSU and you worked really hard on your future, and I'm so proud of you. And Camilla, for seeing how kind you were to our girls and living on Liddy. To Bruno, you and Carol remind me of your mom and dad. You're perfect for each other. Hold on to Jesus. Keep going. Early, I remember meeting Early and how insecure she was about her English. But she didn't just complain and whine about it. She took time and she enrolled herself in a class and she learned. And I remember just a couple weeks ago, I was talking to both of them, and Danielson said something, and Early corrected her with the right grammar. And I was like, Early, look at you. You just keep going. And you too, you've never been afraid to lovingly correct us. I remember one time you're trying to bless us with something, and I said, well, I'll get back to you on it, and I didn't. And then I showed up the day of, and I was like, oh yeah, what about that thing? And it started to cause attention. And she was like, Daniel, you're wrong. You should have told me you wanted this. I asked you, and you didn't tell me, and now you're coming and asking for it, and that's not okay. And I just needed that. I need someone who loved me enough to let me know when I was wrong. You've been that. Danielson, you're an example of a modern day Cornelius. You've been so faithful and generous to our family. You showed us how and what it means to sacrifice comfort and convenience to build a lifestyle for your family and your church and your community, and you could do so much for yourself. But you just keep giving to people. Thank you. And to the souls. I would remember driving around, hoping and praying that when I visited the Souls, they'd invite me over for food and to eat. And you always would, and you'd always give so much more than I needed. You'd give some for me to give to Liddy. You raised Hadassah before our parents showed up. Steve, you're always so kind and willing to help. and to give to other people. I've seen you switch your jobs to align your life with God, and how you've led your family with courage and humility. Tammy, I remember when I first came to visit you guys. It's funny. Pretty much every member says, "Oh, no, we love our church, etc." And I remember something you said. You said, "Oh, I don't get involved in politics. I just love my church." And I'm thinking, yeah, right. But it's true. You just love us, and you give and you serve. And it doesn't make sense. Daisy, I've seen you grow up as a young girl to someone who didn't really like people, honestly. And then I've seen you grow up and realize that love them or hate them, people are there forever, and it's hard to get things done without them. And so you've grown and matured up, and I just remember your commitment to reading and studying the Bible, and how when you wanted to start taking Bible studies, and Lady gave you this set of lessons, and before you know it, Lady said, "Okay, we're ready for lesson 2," and you said, "Oh, I'm done all of them." And I was like, "What?" And how seriously you've taught me how to take Jesus seriously, and don't let your youth, your age be a reason why people can say, "Oh, they're young, they don't get it, they're not committed." No, you are, and you have been. Thank you. Zach, I've seen you work hard and fight your own battles and get through going to school, and it was not easy, but you did not give up. And even as you figure out what that path looks like for you, you just keep walking it. And I'll close with this. There's a picture, Tammy, in your home. It's a picture of a little cloud. And there's a caption at the bottom. And the cloud, it says, "It's what we're waiting for," which is the second coming of Jesus. And man, if people could come in this church and experience what Liddy and I have experienced, there's no way we'll be going to 2 services and looking for other places to build, because you have loved us and you've helped us grow. You have served us, and you've been an example of what it means to know and serve Jesus. Andrew, you're just so real. You've got those bloodhounds, those dogs. But you are who you are, and I love you for that. And you've taught me it's okay to be who you are. You don't have to try to be somebody else. You've been honest about, hey, you know what? I've got something to grow in this area. And you've never been shy about addressing whatever needs to be addressed, and that takes courage. I mean, so many people don't want to deal with what they have to deal with. You keep showing up, and you say, "God, here's where I'm at, here's what I need," and you're honest, and I've appreciated that. Love, I'll give you a chance to say something, and then I'm going to sing, and then we're going to end.
As you can see, it's really hard for both of us, but we're so grateful. When we were on our way, when my sister said to Daniel, asked Daniel and said, "You should go and preach in the church because they're just looking for pastors to fill in," Daniel was like, "No, I'm good." And I was like, "Why not? Let's just go out." We never get a chance to really go out to other churches. And so I remember driving up there, and I looked at Daniel and I said, "Wouldn't it be funny if we ended up getting a job?" And I was like, "But there's no way. Like, we're too young. We don't have any kids."
I'm black.
and there's all kinds of stuff that we were just like, there's no way this is going to happen. And God has a way of working things out where we were able to be here for 6 years. And we came as newlyweds, carefree. We would hang out with the young adults till 2, 3 a.m. in the mornings. We were just having the time of our lives. And I remember when we had at Hadassah, and I was like, people keep saying, like, when you have kids, things change, but there's no way. Like, we're going to keep doing this. And we took Hadassah one time to a youth hangout, and we left around, 12? Yeah. And I remember I was like, this is terrible for this girl. She's never going to be able to really have, a good night. And that's where it really started changing a little bit, with working and motherhood and parenthood and both of us working and everything. And I just want to thank you all for how you really blessed Daniel and just the way you've been able to be there, especially when I couldn't be there for him, whether emotionally or anything else, because I was wrapped up in my own thing with work and motherhood and just trying to make it and everything. But it just means a lot to me as a pastor's wife to be able to have that kind of support. As Danielson said, it's very different, but because of you, I can look back and say our first years in ministries have been so amazing. We hear stories of other pastors and the things that they go through, and I just can't imagine. And I'm like, we're so blessed, because if I had gone through all that, I don't think I would continue to encourage Daniel to continue in this path. And so, when I met Daniel, I said, you have so much potential, like you can do so much. And the way that you've blessed and poured into his heart, his life, he's a man, and I'm just so proud of him and where you came from and where you are now. And I know that God is going to continue to bless you as you minister, and I know it's because of you. It really is, and you have no idea. You'll never know just how much your love has meant to our family until we get to heaven. And I just want to thank you so much for that. And as we leave with our three beautiful children, your imprints are all over them. And I'm sad that Ezekiel did not get a chance to really come here because of the COVID situation. But I know that he felt loved in so many ways. And so time is ticking. It's almost 1. But I just want to know that we love you guys. And we thank you so much for the way you've blessed us.
And thank you, Liddy. You have stood by my side through the dumb, the ups and the downs. You've been faithful, consistent. You never given up on me. I love you so much. Contreras, Jose Luis, Rosie, I have seen you grow in your faith, to see how Jesus has worked in you. We prayed for you, Jose Luis, when you weren't able to come back, and we're so glad that you're here. Edwin, I'm so proud of you growing up and being a young man and showing Jesus. Anthony, I'm proud of you, little guy. Keep shining for Jesus. Dwayne, I love you, and thank you for showing me what it means to always have a testimony for Jesus. And Pablo, stay connected, bro. This is the place to grow. This is the place to be at, man. Jesus loves you. Karen, I'm going to sing a song. You can have a seat, love. And after I sing that song, we're going to just have one more slideshow that just express some of our life in pictures and song. This is a song my dad would always have me sing when he would preach, or there would be an evangelistic series. And it's indicative of the reality that people need the Lord, but they have to see the Lord in us for them to trust him. Thank you for showing that to me. And my prayer is that you would continue to pass that baton on, not just to the pastor, but to each one of you as you have. Every day they pass me by, I can see it in their eyes. Empty people filled with care, headed who knows where. On they go through private pain, living fear to fear. Laughter hides their silent cries. Only Jesus hears. People need the Lord. People need the Lord. At the end of broken dreams,
open door. People need the Lord. People need the Lord. When will we realize people need the Lord? We are called to take His light to a world where wrong seems right. What could be too great a cost for sharing one with one who's lost? Through His love, our hearts can feel all the grief they bear. They must hear the words of life only we can share. Sing it with me. People need the Lord. People need the Lord. At the end of broken dreams, He's the open door. People need the Lord. People need the Lord. When will we realize that we must give our lives for people need the Lord. People need the Lord. Amen.